For the past year or more, when I make cards, I have made it my practice to not add to my scraps, but to use up my scraps. That is also the case with these cards. I wanted to make girly birthday cards for my granddaughters by making paper dresses. I used the leftover scraps to make these additional cards. I'm going to show you my whole process from start to the finish using up all the papers for this session. The paper dresses are made from a 6-inch by 6-inch paper square. Don't they look cute? And for this collar, I used a trim piece. You can decorate them however you want. For this collar, I used the corner of a frame die. And for this color, I used a trim piece. These are birthday cards. I thought the pretty dresses carry the idea of a party dress, for a birthday. I will show you how to fold the 6x6 paper to make a dress. This is an origami craft paper folding. No cutting or gluing necessary. We start by folding the paper in half, wrong sides together. The thinner the paper, the better it's going to work for you. Having a bone folder is also very helpful for this craft, especially if your paper is a little bit thick. I am working with really thin paper, which is so much easier. Turn the paper to the back side. Then we fold each side to the center fold. Both sides will meet in the center. This is what your paper should look like with 3 folds. Now we take the lower fold and we bring it up to the center fold, which is a valley fold. Here's a look how the paper should be folded. We will then repeat the same thing with the opposite side, bringing the mountain fold to the center valley fold. The paper looks like this. Next, we fold the paper like so, leaving about a centimeter so we create a short side and a long side. I should have folded it the opposite way so that we have a mountain fold instead of a valley fold on the print side, so I'm correcting that here. I repeat this process of folding at the end of the video, and I do it correctly then, so stay tuned for that. Next, we bring the short side up about a centimeter, so it looks like that. Now, we take this and bring it out, creating a flare to the right side of the skirt. This will change the location of the fold on this piece. Use the bone folder to flatten and smooth it out. This also angles the waistline up slightly on each side because we will repeat the same procedure on the left side but in the opposite direction. This forms the skirt of the dress. Now turn it to the back side. We'll take the corner and fold it to meet the center fold line. We do the same to the opposite side. It is important to have very crisp lines on these folds and do try to make both sides the same. Now as you open it, you see that I'm having some trouble because one side is shorter than the other. When it's done correctly, it will flatten out like this. And the purpose of this part of the fold is to help the whole thing hold its shape. Now we're going to shape the bodies by narrowing the top. I take the top section and bring it towards the middle. Then for the skirt, it should flare out, fold it like this, coming to an almost point at the lower hem of the skirt. Then we repeat the same procedure to the other side. This is what it looks like at this point. To form the sleeves from the back side, pull the top out to the side, so you may have to lower the angle of the back fold. Make sure it comes outside the bodice. This fold makes the cap sleeves of the dress. Now for the neckline. We fold under the 2 corners. We have our dress. It just needs to be decorated. I said earlier, you don't need glue, but I want to glue it so that it lays a bit more flatter. So I am gluing under some of the edges. This is the back side, and this is the front side. We can make a little waistband. You can use a ribbon or paper, whatever you have, that will coordinate with your color print. I grabbed one of my thin strips. I decided to cut an angle on one side of the waistband to make a small V at the bottom. This is not necessary, it's just my preference. I'm going to just glue it on. If you have a ribbon, you can just tie it going all the way around the waist with a bow and finish it with a bow on top, like I did with the dress you see in the upper left of the screen. Then I just glue the ends on the back. It doesn't matter if it's angled. Nobody will see the back side of the dress. You can leave the collar plain, but I had this trim already cut out, so I'm going to use it for a collar. It is the right size that will do the job. I start in the center and work toward the outside edge. Cut it, fold, and glue to the back. The other half, that's a little bit more than half, will go on the opposite side, and I didn't bother to cut the extra off. Here is my card base. I just need to pick a background paper. From my 6x6 paper collection, I chose to use this print with shoes and purses to go along with the birthday party dress idea. It's not the best contrast, as the dress color is light and the background's kind of light, but I had to use that paper. I cut the paper to fit the card base. This means I will have some leftover scraps, but I have plans for all of these leftovers, so stay tuned. When I positioned this dress and kind of rounded it so it sits a little higher on the middle, the glue is only on the outside edge. This gives the dress a little bit more dimension, as you can see. The background paper for 2 of the cards came from an 8x8 paper, so I had a bit more leftover scrap, so I decided to cover the flap of the envelope with the same paper to make it a matching set. I also made a small gift card to attach to the gift that will accompany the card. Since all the colors were pink and purple, and they kind of coordinated together, and I didn't want to add them to my scrap pile, so I says, you know what? Let's use them up. Let's just make a card base. So I keep this, you see these are torn edges. They're a quarter sheet of a typing paper. It's got very random things. This is paper that I recycle. Sometimes I use them for notes. That's part of a schedule from Vacation Bible School. So I'm doing strip combinations, using up these, and I've done this so many times it's become my go-to, and I didn't want to add to my scrap pile because that has been my mode of operandi. So actually, you know what, I've got some strips here. Let's see if we can add a little more contrast. We got some pinks. Let's see if we can't use some of these purples and pinks. Can that pink work? That's more peach. There's another shade of pink. Is that too bright? Let's just see. Are there any lighter purples? Hey, oh, that's blue. These are just my skinny straps. Some of them are quilling strips. These are left over from other projects. So yeah, I'm always trying to use up scraps. Only got 2 of this, but I don't want that next to that. Yeah, if we put it dark there, that'll give me some contrast. And then I can use something else, like maybe this. Yeah, that'll work. Hey cat, how is... Then I can use this. do I want to use this? Oh no, I think I need more of the darker pink, because I don't know. How about that? And then this. Hey, are you eating paper? Don't eat paper. Don't. This is not grass. This is paper. You can't eat paper. She's eating the paper as if it were grass. Like, does it look like grass? That's the same color. Okay. Make yourself comfortable, kitty. Oh, is that a better place? Definitely need a darker color here. You keep changing your position. I only have one of those. We have to get some more of that on here. But I don't want it. It's too close to that. I could do it this way. Yeah, I could do it that way. I might get a couple of cards out of these. But yeah, that'll work just great. Alright, we just got to work on this section. Let's see. We could use some more pink. That'd be alright, I think. We have, or should it be purple? No, not purple. Or should it be this? We've only got one of those. I think I'm actually gonna cut it off so I can have a little bit more of this image. Yeah. Okay. Now maybe a little pink in the corner. Alright, that'll work. Alright, I think I'm just going to trim.
Food.
Okay, I'll come out and get it. And we have one card base, which would be a good base for a girl's card. Let's see, I want one that's white. I have several videos where I create strip cards using the principle of angled strips, where I share more specific details on the process of how to build the background. So I'm not going to repeat all those details here, but I will link those videos in the video description below the video. I will say this though, start with your longest pieces first. I'm using 1-inch strips, sometimes 1/2-inch strips, and even 1/4-inch strips. Whenever I feel that I'm running out of paper to work with, I search my strip bins. I have long strips and short strips. I resist cutting up any new papers. I do my best to make it work using what I have on my desk. The goal is to have no scraps left over when I am through today's session. I refuse to add to my scrap pile. Actually, I don't have a scrap pile anymore. You'll have to see my video. I have conquered my scraps to see how I managed that. My system of managing my scraps by making them my highest priority is working very well for me. I have watched videos of people sharing their scrap storage systems, and they devote so much space in their crafting area just to store the scraps. Some people are even selling all sorts of containers to organize a large collection of scraps. My principle is to use up the scraps instead of collecting and making more scraps. I do have lots of new paper that I have not yet touched, but I want to use up all of the scraps first. If I start cutting a new piece of paper, then I must use up the whole sheet. All these papers were left over from making the dresses or from the background papers. Since they're all pink and purple, they will work well together on a strip background. I was able to create 5 extra card bases with my scraps. Now it's time to trim them up. I love this set of rectangle frames from Waffle Flower. Normally I use the largest die to cut the strip background to be the same size as my card base, but today I'm using the second largest die so that I will have a white border around my strip bases. This gives me a perfect cut every time. I get so much use out of this set. I always try to keep a large supply of white cardstock on hand. When you cut one sheet in half, you get 2 card bases cut from it. I like the look of the white frame around my strip base since I left a small white space between all of my strips. This is a backdrop or background for a future card. I will place these 5 card starters, is what I call them, in my card starter bin. Those are ready cards that only need a sentiment and perhaps a simple decoration that I can whip up in a few minutes of my time, and I have a video where I show that process. I'll link it below. I try to keep a variety of starter cards on hand so that I am ready for any occasion. With these colors and prints, I have ready cards for a girl. Here are the 5 starter cards I created from today's leftover scraps. So I made 5 dress cards, which are all birthday cards, and 5 girlish starter cards. And this is all that I have left of today's session. This will go into the trash. Once again, I have not added to my scrap pile today, and I have not wasted paper.
6 by 6.
I wanted to see if I could make a smaller dress. So I cut my 6 by 6 paper down to a 4 by 4. The paper must be a square to make the dress. You can actually make this in any size.
Let's make it 4 by 4.
Oops, I forgot to press record. So I missed showing you how I folded that. So let's try going even smaller with a 3 by 3 paper.
6 by 6 paper, 4 by 4. I actually like that size. It would be a good size for a card. Too busy background. That's kind of big actually. So cute. Same as the other. 4x4, 3x3. You can make it any size. This is card front. This size would be good if you wanted to do 2 people, 2 dresses.
4-inch square, 3-inch square. I wonder how small I can go. Thanks for watching.